and welcome to the Broad Street Hockey Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gilbert. Joining me, as usual, is my co-host, Joe DeMarini. It finally happened. There were whispers. We weren't sure if he was going to be coming back to Philly, but it happened. Announced on Thursday, the Philadelphia Flyers have re-signed forward Rodrigo Abels to a one-year contract. Joe, what is your reaction to the big news here?
First of all, that's Oscar Eklund erasure. All right. He was also signed to a one-year contract.
Yes.
I mean, great, cool. We got some depth. Can never have too much of that. And we all loved whenever Bush would say, "How do you like them Abels?" anytime Rodrigo did anything in the NHL.
Yeah, he had it in his back pocket. He had it ready for when he scored a goal. So, how do you like them Apples? Good, Phantoms depth player. Phantoms center. Phantom should be exciting next season. But of course, the actual big news.
Well, before we continue, rip the Phantoms.
Rip the Phantoms. They gave the Hershey Bears a good push there. But I mean, once you have Cal Peterson in net, like your chances are not good.
And with that last game, happy trails, Cal Peterson. You are no longer a member of the Flyers organization. There are no games left for you to play. Good luck and Godspeed.
See you, Cal Pete. You were a goalie here in the Flyers
and
organization.
As one guy leaves, another one enters.
Another one comes in. Yeah, I mean, a lot of mixed reactions here around Rick Tocchet. If you're live with us in the chat on YouTube, put your thoughts in the chat. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Some super chats, some stuff like that. Subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. But yeah, it's a very mixed bag with Rick Tocchet. Like I've listened to the Flyperbole that was recorded on Tuesday night when the John Buccigross tweet broke, so they were discussing it pretty good. I listened to the live reaction from Thomas, I think Jacob and Kyle were on there on Wednesday. So like, it's very much, there's a lot of stuff out there right now, and I'm trying to avoid in general responding to the negative minority, because there's always going to be a negative minority no matter what happens, because fans are negative one way or the other. But like, I'm trying to focus on the facts and what we know about Rick Tocchet. And we know he hasn't been great. He won the Jack Adams 2 years ago, largely thanks to PDO, or last year, I should say, thanks to PDO, thanks to goaltending, thanks to great power play. His top players all performing his best, which, maybe he can get credit for, but then he also has to take the blame for, not being able to get his two guys on the same page. I know that did predate him there in Vancouver, but also just not really having much success at his prior stops as a head coach in Tampa, Arizona, Vancouver. He won 2 cups as an assistant with the Penguins. He is, I think, more of a Penguin than a Flyer. That can be debated as well. But, I guess he was the top guy out there for most teams. Like Sullivan went to the Rangers, Laviolette's out there, like there's some other guys out there, Dan Bilesma, but like Tocchet was like, all right, the Flyers are in on him, Boston's in on him, maybe Seattle. And I mean, I'm ultimately fine with it. I'm more about what this means for the rest of the offseason. But Joe, you're shaking your head. You don't seem to be a huge fan.
I'm mostly indifferent at this point. Like he's a coach. What's frustrating is that so many excuses have been made on his behalf for why his teams weren't good. Oh, Tampa Bay was in the middle of a rebuild, and I'm writing a spate of articles for Broad Street Hockey, like and subscribe, about how this is possibly the best roster that Rick Tocchet's going to coach, and those Tampa teams, they had Marty St. Louis putting up like 80 points a year. Steven Stamkos won the Rocket Richard as a sophomore, but behind them, there was nothing. Like it was his 2 years in Tampa as head coach was Stamkos's rookie season, followed immediately by Victor Hedman's rookie season. Future Hall of Famers, those guys, but man, they were not, those teams stunk at that time. Arizona's Arizona, like they don't exist anymore. They're in Utah because their ownership was such a tire fire. And let me pull this up. The most points that any player scored in Rick Tocchet's 4 years in Arizona was 65 points by Clayton Keller in his rookie year in 2017-18. The next highest points per game was Phil Kessel, who scored 43 and 56 during the 2020-2021 COVID-shortened season. those teams stunk. The only team that could be considered good is Vancouver, but they have their issues too. Elias Pettersson hasn't performed under Rick Tocchet, so rip the dream of getting Elias Pettersson to Philadelphia. Quinn Hughes, when he's on the ice, is incredible, but he missed a lot of this season due to injuries, so that's not going to help. And they traded JT Miller, and Brock Besser came back down to earth. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of talent on this Flyers roster that maybe it'll work, and we're entering a transitionary phase anyway. I know everybody's like, we got Michkov. It's time to go, 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 go. And I'm like, no, there's still money on the books. The cap still has to go up. There are a lot of prospects that still need to make the league. If after 2 years this clearly isn't working, they'll just fire him. It's Comcast money. Who gives a shit? If it works, great. He'll probably still be fired after 3 or 4 years because that's just how the NHL works. But, whatever. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's 50-50, it either works.
Exactly. And the contract, you look at it, 5 years, $5 million a year. Like, that's one of the more expensive coaching contracts out there. But like you said, it's Comcast money. It doesn't go against the salary cap. So I've been, banging the table. Give the coach as much as he wants. David Carl, Rick Tocchet, whoever it is, get your guy. And it seems like Tocchet was their guy. And he's very likely going to be fired. If he lasts all 5 years, fantastic. That means things are going extremely well. So, but Rick Tocchet, like, you go back and talk about those teams like Tampa, Arizona.
Before you move on to that, I want to talk about the money real quick.
Yeah.
This is the Flyers flexing their muscle, which they haven't done in a very long time, to say, hey, we got bank. We got fat stacks, and we will throw them at whoever the fuck we want, as long as it's within the constraints of the salary cap. But man, if we want you here, we will back up the truck and get your ass into Philadelphia. So I think it's not just bringing back a former Flyer, getting the best guy on the market. It's sending a message to the league like, hey, we've got money, we will spend it. Don't fuck with us. Like we like, if we want your assistant coach, we will come get him and just pry him away from you because we'll pay him more than you're willing to do. So that's fun. I like that. I like the kind of just like the financial flex. Anyway, the teams you were talking.
Just like, we're owned by Comcast. Our where we play is now called the Xfinity Mobile Arena. We'll throw money around.
The Xbox.
Really, so hopefully they go out and get a good assistant. But you look back at those Tampa teams, those Arizona teams, like, they're not ready to compete. And I'm not saying the Flyers are ready to compete next year, but in 2 years, I think playoffs has to be the baseline goal in 2 years. Like, next year is another, figure it out, see what these guys are under a coach that still has some good foundation. I think Tocchet's he's going to keep that foundation that Tortorella built, but he's more of a player's coach. So we'll see more skill, more talent out of, Matt Michkov, maybe Owen Tippett. We'll see what Brink, Forster, Pelletier, what these guys actually are in a system where they have the basics down. They have the basics down. Drysdale, exactly. So
if he could do that with Quinn Hughes, what do you think he could do with Jamie Drysdale?
I'm not putting any of Quinn Hughes's skill on Rick Tocchet. That Quinn Hughes would thrive under any head coach.
Sure.
I don't. Yeah.
Like, I mean, his usage, like the way he was used. But
yeah. I don't think Drysdale is his ceiling might be close to Quinn Hughes, but I don't think he's going to hit that. But it's largely Rick Tocchet's a coach. He's one of the coaches out there. He's one of the, probably, we joke about 35, 40 coaches. He's probably one of the top 20, 25 that like is not going to go too long without a job, especially now. Like, since joining Arizona in 2017, he didn't coach 21 to 22 until he got hired mid-season by Vancouver. He was with TNT there. So, I mean, he's 60, 61. He's as old as Bradshaw. He's been around the block, and he's seen what not to do as a head coach with these teams. And I think the important thing, like, we look at Vancouver, that was a locker room that was fractured. And the biggest thing the Flyers have going for them right now is the locker room, is how much everyone plays for each other. Everyone loves each other. We look at the roster, we're like, oh, who do we want to trade now? Like, we'll trade these guys, but we don't want to trade them. So, like, coming into that sort of environment, coming back home to Philly where he was drafted and played with Keith Jones, like, having the backing of Briere and Jones, knowing he's coming after Tortorella, where even if if Rick Tocchet is as much of a hard ass as he thinks he can be, it's going to be nowhere to the level of John Tortorella. So, I
No.
mean, I'm talking myself into this more and more. There's plenty of negatives. There's plenty of things there's hurdles that he has to get by. But you know, there would have been hurdles with Pat Ferschweiler, with Jay McKee, with bringing in Jay Woodcroft. Like, how is he going to handle? Like, so Rick Tocchet is kind of just a guy, a vibes guy, and I think that's what he's going to be as the head coach.
I don't think I don't want to say there's no risk in this for the Flyers, because obviously there is, but he is a player's coach, like you said, and importantly, star players seem to really like him. Quinn Hughes apparently loved the guy. Sidney Crosby vouches for him.
I think Connor McDavid wants it. Oh yeah, remember earlier this season when Connor Garland was attacking Connor McDavid, and then McDavid went back at him, and McDavid got suspended. Rick Tocchet, the first thing that comes up when you Google Connor McDavid, Rick Tocchet, is Tocchet saying, I don't want McDavid suspended. Like, I don't think that was worth a suspension. So, and he was on the staff at Team Canada at the Four Nations, I believe. So he has relationships with these top players. He has a relationship with Sam Bennett there, with Connor McDavid, who's a free agent next offseason. Like, he's liked around the league, and that's important because we saw, you know, in the athletic player poll, like coaches you don't want to play for, Tortorella, you know, Tocchet's not really up there as one of the main guys they want to play for, but I feel like he can, you know, help bring in free agents and guys here more than some random college guy can.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm just kind of, we expected this.
It's whatever. We were
it's the Arrested Development meme where he reaches into the freezer and it says "Dead dove, do not open," and then he opens the bag and he goes, "Well, I don't know what I expected." And this is the dead dove, I suppose. But you know, another article I'm working on is Rick Tocchet's power play history, because he was the power play guy in Pittsburgh, was he not?
I don't know enough about that.
No. Okay. I haven't started this one, but if he can help the power play, you know, that might be kind of nice. That might be kind of fun.
Yeah, let me do a quick Google search. Yeah, he oversaw the Penguins power play, assistant coach for 3 seasons from 2014 to 2017. Had a success rate of 20.3%, fifth in the NHL over that span. Of course, they had a few Hall of Famers there with Crosby, Malkin, Chris Letang, Phil Kessel there for parts of it. I don't know when Jake Gensel was drafted or brought into the league, but you know, they had high school guys, but also the Flyers have high school guys. They have Michkov, they have Konechny, they have, you know, a Forster with his great shot. They have Bobby Brink. Yeah, they have. Don't mock me. Don't mock me, Joe. Don't mock my boy Bobby.
No, I'm serious. Bobby Brink power play 1. I'm with it. Like that's
I don't think I am. I don't. Maybe. But yeah, Rick Tocchet, power play coach in Pittsburgh. You know, he's coached top end players before. Coached top end players, pretty much every stop besides Arizona. I mean, they didn't really have too many top end players there, but yeah,
Phil Kessel erasure.
Yeah, I know Maddie is working on an article for Broad Street Hockey. I don't think it's published yet. It is not published as of recording, but you know what this shows about the Flyers, like direction now, because they're not being a rebuilding team. They're not being a same old. Like, I imagine Bradshaw was in the conversation for a long time, and you know, he could have been brought back, and it would have been like, all right, let's see what Bradshaw has. But that sends a message of like, okay, we're gonna keep trying these, you know, just minimal internal stuff, like see what the kids can come up and do, maybe go out and get more of an Alex Lyon than a Jake Allen or a John Gibson or a Stu Skinner or Jeremy Swayman, that the Rick Tocchet could be helping the big game hunting there. So Briere said this is, you know, the next stage of the rebuild, the next phase of the new era of Orange. And I think Tocchet isn't a bad option. Like, there may have been better options out there. Woodcroft would have definitely been interesting. Hopefully they can back up the truck and get him as the power play coach.
That's the dream.
Yeah, I think, you know, do you have anything else on Tocchet? Or you want to talk about the Shaw question right now?
Well, so we're all like, well, the only guy we know, the only guy for the job is the guy we already know. I just think back to the draft last year, and they picked Jet Luchenko, and it was like, do you trust your scouts or do you trust the consensus?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I'd call Rick Tocchet the consensus best choice for the Flyers. Everyone just linked the two and was like, yeah, it's going to be Tocchet. I don't know if that counts as like the best choice. But if they are sure that this is the guy, I mean, you got to trust the process and just go with the guy that seems like the best fit.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that was the guy they wanted to get, Rick Tocchet. It seemed like, at least they gave it like a month plus of a job search. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks. Tocchet was let go from Vancouver, so they did their due diligence. Tocchet went on the TNT panel to see if he wanted to go back into TV, as many people speculated. But no, he's going to be behind the bench here. I just want to address like him. This being the same old Flyers, getting a former player to coach the team. Like, what's the last coach to do that? Was it Craig Berube for a bit? And like, it has not been the case. But it is very much like Flyers to bring their guys back in the organization. But this isn't like some sort of just nepotism hire where it's a guy that hasn't had a chance yet. Let's give him a chance. He's had chances in multiple organizations. He's been a head coach, so we'll see what he can do. And then that brings me to Brad Shaw, because like they're similar age, similar kind of path, but Shaw has never been able to get past that assistant level. And I just wonder if there's something there that teams are stopping from him going up. Maybe he truly doesn't want it. Like, he can't say that to the media or publicly, but maybe he just likes being the assistant guy, being the X's and O's, doesn't want to have to manage like all these different assistant coaches and video coaches and stuff. Like, he talked about that on his media appearances after getting the intern job. He was like, oh, this is kind of a whirlwind having to deal with all these different people. So maybe he wants to focus just on the defensemen, keep Jamie Drysdale going, to keep these guys going. And as long as he's back as an assistant coach, I'm happier with the Rick Tocchet hire.
Fingers are crossed, man. I don't know when we'll hear about this. Who knows? Maybe there was a stipulation like, you got to give Bradshaw a shot if you want the job. We'll give you an extra $1 million on the contract if you let us say that. Or
I mean, we could hear by the time you guys listen to this, the press conference is Friday morning at 10:30. I imagine Bradshaw will be one of the main questions asked, like if he's going to be around, if Tocchet will be naming his own assistant. So that's going to be intriguing to see. Might be something on the Broad Street Hockey YouTube Friday afternoon. So make sure you guys check that out. But yeah, Jason McNeil wrote a good article on, I believe, Wednesday, that Flyers losing Bradshaw would be a disastrous step backward. And yeah, because like, he's the guy that's going to maintain the voice of Tortorella while, being the good cop with the players. And Tocchet can be, more the bad cop, whatever. But I feel like that's going to be a good relationship. If you have Tocchet as like the managing guy, he just, makes sure everything is going well. Shaw manages the defense, and they bring someone else in for the offense. I don't know who it's going to be, but I imagine it'll be some sort of established name, even if it's just established as an assistant.
It'd be nice if they can just leave it vacant until November and the Predators fire Andrew Brunette, and then they're just like, oh, there he is. There's our power play coach. No, I don't know, man. Who? Maybe some AHL guy is ready for that jump. Like one of the Bears coaches, or did he just get hired somewhere else?
I don't think so. Yeah. If there's like an AHL guy or like an assistant around the league that played with Briere or Jones or Tocchet or coach with one of them, and they're able to bring in
Woodcroft. I know that sounds.
Woodcroft would be amazing. I would love to have a bench of Tocchet, Woodcroft, and Shaw. Like, those are my top 3 options as head coach. So bring them together.
Yeah, I know it sounds silly because there's a couple of head coaching vacancies still open. And maybe Woodcroft would get one of those. But we occasionally see head coaches move back into assistant roles. Like what's his name? David Quinn.
David Quinn's the younger.
Quinn.
Pat Quinn's the former Flyers coach from way back when.
Okay. David Quinn. He was the San Jose Sharks coach for a while, and I think he's an assistant with. It's not Chicago. I can't remember, but he's an assistant coach with someone now. So
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. There you go. So, well, who's Pittsburgh's head coach? Did they hire someone yet? No,
they didn't.
open.
They didn't. Yeah.
Okay. We'll see how long that lasts. But, head coaches move back into assistant roles sometimes, and it could happen. If it's a money thing, the Flyers have that on lock. It's just if Woodcroft doesn't get one of the other head coaching gigs first.
Yeah, so I'm looking here at the Four Nations Team Canada coaching staff. You got you got John Cooper leading it. Of course, he'd be a dream. Bruce Cassidy, I think he'll stay in Vegas, even though they shot the bed a bit. He's not going to be an assistant for the Flyers. I'm saying
no, fuck no. Aiden Hill shot the bed, by the way. It wasn't just Cassidy; it was Aiden Hill.
Pete DeBoer, Rick Tocchet, and then Misha Donskov, who is, I believe, currently a coach with the is he with Vegas? It says he was with London for some time. He could be an interesting name. He's a Stars assistant coach, it looks like. He's as part of Team Canada. I don't know if he'll be available, but he's someone that Tocchet dealt with there. Donskov entered his second season as an assistant with Dallas. He was assistant with Vegas. He was assistant with the OHL London Knights way back when. So that's an interesting name. I can't imagine he would leave Dallas, but
exciting game tonight though. That'll be exciting tonight.
Yeah, should be. Hopefully Dallas can close him out, but we'll see if Hellebuyck can do something at home.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jets fans. No, I don't know. I'm now that the head coaching gig is filled, I'm like less concerned about the assistant roles, because I mean we'll see tomorrow in the press conference just how much power Tocchet is going to have here. I cannot imagine they do this whole triumvirate shenanigan again.
No, I don't think so.
There's no way. And all the players that Tocchet would probably struggle to get along with, I think Torts has already weeded them out. Like, there aren't any left. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe Cam York. I mean, Cam York is the one guy that he's like the U.S. National Development Program guy that they still have after getting rid of Farabee, after getting rid of, forgot who else was there, but like Cam York is the default. Oh, he might be traded. He might have a problem guy. Him and Tippett are becoming the default guys of that. But it's just out of just necessity. Someone needed to be that guy.
Yeah, I think, no, I've mostly come to terms with it. I accept it. I am one with the Flyers brain trust. In Danny we trust.
Yeah. The Canucks promoted Adam Foote to the head coach, but their other assistant coach, Yaroslav Skavkovsky here, was a coach there with Vancouver as of this year. It was his first year. He's director of hockey operations with some sort of AAA hockey thing. He could be a name to keep an eye out for. But yeah, that's the next big thing is figuring out the assistant coaches. And it's really not worth speculating too much until we hear what Briere and Tocchet have to say on Friday.
I mean, at this point, you might as well fill a hat with a bunch of names. I'll pull one out and say, hey, it's going to be that guy. Like, we really just have no idea. Tomorrow, maybe we'll get a clearer picture. Hopefully, we'll get a clearer picture. But it's fine.
Yeah, there's one more thing surrounding Tocchet that I do want to address here. Everyone bringing it up. Oh, he won the Jack Adams Award. Does this not mean anything? Like, he's a good coach. He won the Jack Adams Award. The Jack Adams Award is given to the coach of the team that overperforms expectations. It's not given to the team who the coach gets the most out of the team. If that was the case, John Tortorella would have won it last year because no one had the Flyers being anywhere near the playoffs. And if they didn't trade Sean Walker at the trade deadline, they make the playoffs. If they had a second goalie with Sam Ersson, they make the playoffs. And then in that case, maybe Tortorella wins it. But no, Tocchet wins it. Canucks run away with it there. But their PDO, top in the league. Year before that, when the Bruins had their insane season, Montgomery won it. Their PDO, top in the league. Before that, Sutter, 7th. Carolina won it. 10th, 3rd, 2nd. Like, it's just whichever team has low expectations and then exceeds them, not necessarily which coach does the best job, because like the Canucks had those great players like we talk about that all performed well. Thatcher Demko had an amazing season. Like, you see this around the league. Like next year you're going to probably have Rick Tocchet might be one of the favorites for the Jack Adams. Whoever, Andrew Brunette probably, because Nashville had a bad season. Maybe whoever goes into Boston. Like, it's not given to the best coach. It's not objectively the best coach. It's just like, all right, this team this was one of the best teams or one of the most surprising teams, their coach gets it.
Like, I don't think Jared Bednar or John Cooper have won a Jack Adams. Or maybe it's Brindamore. One of the, like, two of those guys have not won Jack Adams awards.
I don't think John Cooper's won it. Brindamore won it in 2021. Cooper has not won it. And who's the other guy you said?
Bednar.
Bednar has not won it either. And
yeah. See, like,
Pete DeBoer has not won it. Like, he's Mr. Game 7. Like, there's plenty of great coaches that have not won the Jack Adams.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was you who skeeted it, but someone or tweeted or posted, I don't know who it was, but they were like 7 of the last 10 Jack Adams.
Yeah, 7 of the last 10 were in the top 4 PDO. The others were 7th, 10th, and 11th. All the PDOs over 1, which is like, it's due to regress down. So
yeah. Well, I mean, the Canucks were like, they were the poster children for riding a PDO straight into a playoff spot. That was an insane bender they went on to start that season.
Yeah, I will say maybe it means that coach isn't a bad coach. Sure, Rick Tocchett's not a bad coach. Jim Montgomery, Darryl Sutter, Brindamore, Cassidy aren't bad coaches, obviously, but it doesn't mean as much as like a Hart Trophy or even like a Calder where it's a player having a great season. You can look to that player, be like, all right, it's very hard to, unless you're following every team throughout the season, it's very hard to vote for, okay, which coach actually managed his team the best to get the best out of his players.
Yeah. And it's voted on by the Writers Association, I think.
Is
that right?
It's
not the players.
Is that voted by?
It's got to be
doesn't say here. Oh yeah, the National Hockey League Broadcasters Association at the end of the regular season. Yes. So okay. Yeah. So whichever teams get the most national TV games, I guess probably have a better chance there.
Oh boy. Yeah. That's true. All right.
But also one more thing on talking here. It's like what's the worst case scenario is more of the same. It's more of pushing for the playoffs, not making the playoffs, getting in that 10 to 15 pick range, and just not making movements forward. And I don't think that's going to happen because this is signaling, okay, we said, I don't know if they said they're going big game hunting or if Friedman just reported that, but like they want to go out and make some bigger moves this offseason. They have money to do it. Next offseason is the bigger one, but you can't go 0 to 60 with nothing this offseason and then try to go huge game hunting next offseason.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish your thought. No, I'm just like building up to my response.
Yeah, so I think I've talked about it. I've talked about like an aggressive offseason could look like go out, get a center, whether that's Marco Rossi, whether it's somehow get John Tavares on like a 2-year deal at like 10 million or 14 million, whatever you can afford. Sam Bennett, it seems like he could be a Rick Tocchet guy. Michael Granlund's a free agent that I think is kind of similar to what fans think Giroux could be. And that wouldn't have to have an impact on bringing in a former leader into the locker room. And then a goalie, as I mentioned, going out and getting someone to have with Ersson that's not Fedotov.
Yeah. Look, I know everybody's like, oh, the Flyers, they want to go out and improve. That's not the right decision. They finished with the 4th worst record in hockey this past season. Have we forgotten that? Or 4th best lottery odds? Does that mean 4th worst record?
4th worst record, yeah.
Yeah. They finished with the 4th worst record. Improving would be like the 10th worst record. It doesn't mean they're going to go from like top 5 lottery odds to playoff team. Although it could happen if their power play and goaltending is good. But
exactly. Yeah.
But when they say we're going to improve, it doesn't mean we're just going to add. It's going to mean incremental, targeted improvements. Like maybe getting a goalie, one Stuart Skinner, perhaps. Although if he wins Edmonton the Cup, that dream probably goes out the window. Maybe it is Rossi. Maybe it's just John Tavares, considering how badly the Leafs shat the bed last night.
No.
There's almost no way they can bring him back.
No.
And if Flyers want to throw a 2-year, $8 million a year contract at him just for funsies, like, go ahead, man. Why not? But those aren't necessarily long-term improvements. They are just, hey, we're going to be a little incrementally better than we were the past season. while our prospects and young players continue to develop. Improving doesn't mean, like you said, going from 0 to 60. It's like, we're going to go practice driving in the parking lot before we even think about getting on the road. Yeah. You got behind the wheel last season. You know how the car works. Now we're going to go to the parking lot and you're going to drive around in circles at 15 miles an hour. You're learning, you're improving. That's fine. Maybe halfway through next season, if they're really doing well, it's like, okay, we're going to go out on the street. It's up to 30 miles an hour. And then maybe next summer, they're like, all right, let's go try the highway. That was a really long-winded and dumb metaphor, but hopefully it made sense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that makes sense there. Yeah. We haven't shat on this team in a while. It's not, don't be a Red Wings. Don't go out and get Andrew Kopp, JT Compher. Don't sign these guys just because don't trade away Jake Wallman, who's being fantastic now for Edmonton.
No. Not just trade away. Pay to get rid of.
Yeah, pay to get rid of him. Yeah. So
ghost him. We call it ghosting now.
Ghosting, yeah. Ghosts have been great with Carolina down there too. But yeah, go out, get a middle six center. Get someone that you can put in there to drop Cates down, drop Couturier down, give Luchenko some more time to find his legs. Get someone.
And not even long term. This doesn't have to be like a 7 or 8 year extension. This can just be like a 2-3 year deal until you have the opportunity to get someone better, or one of your prospects is ready to take on that role. You don't need to sign dudes for eternity.
Do you know who's going to be the most boring center to sign to like a 2-year, 3-year deal? He's so boring you can't even think about him.
How? I don't know who.
Brock Nelson. He's the perfect. Fine. He'll get 50, 60 points maybe. He can play a solid second line. He can help these wingers along. But like, yeah, because you look at the centers that are free agents. You got Tavares. He won't want to come to Philly. Matt Duchene, Brock Nelson, Sam Bennett, Claude Giroux. They have Brad Marchand listed as a center, which is completely wrong. Kyle Palmieri, like
Palmieri isn't even a center, I don't think.
No, he's not. So like, yeah, Marco Rossi seems to be the top guy. Bringing him in would be great. Michael Granlund, I would like. We're seeing how he can fit on a top line there. He can play center. He can play wing.
He's small though. That's the thing.
Yeah, looking down the free agent centers like Yanni Gourde, Nick Bjugstad, like no, I don't think those guys make any sort of noise. So yeah, maybe it's Oh, you want size at center, Joe? You going to join the Tage Thompson train with me?
He's not a free agent.
Not a free agent. No, you can trade for him.
Brock Nelson, dude has to get back to the Pewter City gym. I think he's gonna look to get paid and get term. I don't think there's any way he would sign with the Flyers. Tavares, maybe. I doubt it though. Granlund, that's not a bad shout. He was great with the Sharks. He was one of my like low key best fantasy waiver claims last season. He did great. He was almost a point a game. How did he look so cooked in Pittsburgh and then just go on a tear with the Sharks? It must be the Ron Hextall effect after he traded, 2 second-round picks for Granlund?
Yeah, something crazy. Crazy. But
awful.
To be fair, Granlund has like a career year this year with 66 points. Hadn't had that many since he was 25 in Minnesota. He had 67 and 69 in the age 24, 25. So he's 32. I think people are opening up more to having older hockey players. We're seeing hockey players being able to hold their own. He's a former 9th overall pick, so he does have the high-end skill that he can flash when needed. Doesn't take a face off 49.6% this year. That's fine. Like, yeah, it's going out getting a center like that. I think that's what hiring Tocchet shows. If it was Bradshaw, maybe you're like, all right, we have Cates, we have Couturier, we have Palin, we have Luchenko. There's our 4. Let's see if we can get some sort of internal battle with Rodrigo Abels or whoever else. But now you got Tocchet. You're taking some sort of step forward.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to draft Michael Misa, so it's all fine. He'll be competing for a job. Yeah, I think people need to cool it when they hear we're going to improve the team and they immediately jump to, well, yeah, but why? You can't do that. You got to stay shitty. And I'm like, incremental. Also, if they finish with the 10th worst record, they could win the lottery. It just happened to the Island. I'm
Exactly. And like,
who cares?
they're not going to bottom out for Gavin McKenna. They're just not. We
No.
saw the Flyers. They were awful. They were 24 points better than the Sharks and 15 points better than the Blackhawks in the bottom two teams there. Like for reference, if they were 24 points better, they would have 100 points, which is the 10th most in the league. Like that's how wide of a gap is between the Flyers and the Sharks and Blackhawks. And that's with having horrible goaltending. And if you get league average, even just like 33rd percentile goaltending, a better power play, this could be a playoff team. Like this team is great at 5-on-5. Michkov's 5-on-5 numbers are great. It's just getting those things. The best teams have 5-on-5, special teams, and goaltending. The bad teams have maybe one.
Yeah. Are you queuing me up here? Are you ready for me to?
I mean, we talked about the centers. So like, what goaltenders might be out there?
Hey guys, it's Joe DeMarini here, bringing you the hottest take, which is the Flyers should trade for Stuart Skinner. Now, I'm not saying they should give up a haul. I would gladly give up one of the second-round picks this year for Stuart Skinner. Straight up, I would trade the Columbus second-round pick for Stuart Skinner. Done. I would do that in a heartbeat. Because Stuart Skinner is right on the cusp of being the age where 1A goaltenders hit their stride. I did another article over on Broad Street Hockey last week, like and subscribe, where I said it's too soon to give up on Sam Ersson because in terms of goaltenders, he's young. 25 is young. 27, 28 is when goalies really hit their stride, or at least 1As. And Stuart Skinner is 26. He'll be 27 in November. He's pitched back-to-back shutouts, even though he lost the starting job to Cal frickin' Pickard to start this playoffs. And Edmonton is, if they win the cup, there's no way they do this. But they are cap-strained and desperate going into the last year of McDavid's deal. The age lines up, and he fits on the Flyers. He would be far and away the best goalie they've got, and he could enter a pretty even timeshare with Sam Ersson while Ersson figures it out. Like, it's a perfect setup, and it's way better than signing some shitty free agent that what he is. Because if Skinner works out, you have a tandem for the next 5 years until Zavragin and Bjarnason get here. What's not to like about that?
Yeah, I mean, Skinner is one of these goalies, like you said. He's age 26, 27 in November. This is his third full season. Going back to his rookie season, he was second place for the Calder in 2023. Started 48 games, save percentage 913. Went down to 905 last year, 896 this year. But we see these goalies change teams and change systems. And the big knock on the Oilers is they have no defense. And the Flyers are building from the back end out. They have Sanheim, they have York, they have Drysdale growing, they have Risto, they have Nick Seeler, a great defensive defenseman. Like, they have a defensive structure in place. And John Tortorella stressed playing all 5 guys play defense, like focus on defense first. So if Skinner gets to a system like the Flyers one, where maybe the Flyers block a few more shots for him, they're able to limit the high danger chances. He can improve. And yeah, the big thing is he has one more year on his deal. Well, so next year is that's it at $2.6 million. Like, that's very manageable. If the Oilers don't win the cup, they should be looking to go out to get a better goalie. But yeah, this would have been a great conversation before his 2 shutouts. And looking back at your article, it angered a lot of people because it's up to 119 comments there. So
it really pissed people off.
People had a lot of thoughts on that.
Well, the thing that kept popping up was like, if he's a cap dump, sure. And I'm like, they're not going to give him up for nothing. This isn't a future considerations deal. You would have to trade something for him. But the Oilers are cap strapped. For some reason, they have a bunch of guys locked into NMC contracts that they can't do anything about. Skinner's one of the only assets that they can freely move.
Their 8 most expensive forwards all have no movement NMCs. That's incredible.
Yeah. Jeff Skinner has been crap for them. Victor Arvidsson has not been great. Like, if they want to manage or improve the roster this summer, they kind of just Skinner's like one of the only ones they can let go as long as they have a replacement. It could be Swayman. I know he got floated out in trade rumors, which would be ridiculous. Why would Boston do that? That's dumb. John Gibson, there's your landing spot. Maybe some other goaltender that I'm not thinking about, but
Swayman, they could go big swinging for
I
Swayman.
could say Swayman.
It's a Swayman, yeah. So I'm just looking at the Oilers cap wages here, and yeah, their big RFA this year is Evan Bouchard, but they don't have a ton. They don't have a ton coming off the books. They also have Draisaitl making $5.5 million more next year. They got Skinner's $3 million coming off, $2 million between Perry and Brown. Kasperi Kapanen, what a moment for him last night. $1 million.
Crazy.
Derek Ryan, 900,000. John Klingberg, 1.7. Like, they don't have the cap space to give that money to Bouchard. So maybe you come in and say, all right, we'll take Skinner. We'll take one of these bad movable contracts. Maybe maybe Matthias Ekholm. Like, he only has 1 year on his deal. If you give him back
No.
Brett Kulak, maybe you take. He's at 2.75. Like, they need to get rid of all the money they can to give it to Bouchard.
Yeah, I mean, Matthias Ekholm kind of like fixed their defense. You cannot. I don't think they can trade him.
Yeah, I think it would be like a Kulak. He's at 2.75 and a Skinner at a 2.6. That gets him $5 million. Give him like a Zamula. Like, a Zamula was apparently getting interest at the deadline. Like, that's a 6th, 7th defenseman for them, and a pick, or in a forward. Like, I feel like there's a way where Briere can get creative to get Skinner and help the Oilers. You'd be like, all right, let me help. Let me help you. Help me help you. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And then the McDavid contract. Yeah, it's gonna be. They have quite the needle to thread, and I don't know, man. I don't know how they're gonna do it, and I see Skinner. And also on top of that, their draft pick pool is pretty scant, especially this year. They do not have a 2nd round pick. Obviously, they don't have a 1st because it belongs to the Flyers, but maybe I would just do probably the Columbus or the not Calgary. Yeah, Calgary.
Whichever pick. Yeah, they're all
one of those
there. Let me float one Oilers name to you. Be a bigger fish to try to get. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. He's 32, $5.125 million cap hit through 2029. He can play center. He can play wing. Former 1st overall pick. Has not worked out there in Edmonton. NMC, so he would have to be willing to waive it to come to Philly. But if he can come to Philly, play with Michkov, play top line minutes, like, that can help. It's just me looking at the Oilers being like, all right, what could the Flyers potentially get from them that can help them more than just goalie?
I mean, I don't know, man. If I'm Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and I get the choice between Philly and playing with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, I'm probably sticking with McDavid and Draisaitl. Like, I don't know. It just, that's a hard sell. Like, do you want to leave the 2 best players in the league to go play with some guys with Rick Tocchet? I don't think that's gonna make it work.
Yeah, but I mean, we like no movement clauses. Like, I feel like in the summer, guys are more open to moving them, and if the Oilers have a bad end to the season, maybe that's an option. But yeah, he would rank pretty highly on the potential centers available. Like, he'd be better on the same level-ish as Rossi better for the timeline. But, Nugent-Hopkins, 49 points this year, but 67 last year, 104 a year before.
When is the last time he played center?
He plays center sometimes for the Oilers.
Does he? Are you sure?
He took over 500 faceoffs this year.
But he could just be one of those wingers who takes faceoffs.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That'd be fine for me. I don't care.
Because what he would have been their 3C.
Well, sometimes when they play McDavid, Draisaitl together, I think they have Nugent-Hopkins as the 2C and then Henrique as a 3C.
Okay, all right, that makes some sense.
Yeah, I feel like it was a 2C most of last playoffs when they had Draisaitl up on the top line.
Okay, I mean, hey, if you can convince him to waive his NMC, sure. But then that's a bunch of money on the books for another 4 years. I'm not thrilled about that.
No.
But yeah, I don't know.
Going back to the main point of this, the goalie point. Stu Skinner, someone like that would be a great, maybe not a buy low moment right now after his 2 straight shutouts, but if he gets shelled in his next few starts, could be a potential option. And then, we got breaking news here in the chat. On the says Charlie O'Connor is apparently reporting that some Flyers news from Charlie O'Connor. I've heard that Brad Shaw, who served as Flyers assistant interim coach, will not be returning to the Flyers bench as assistant coach under Rick Tocchet. Full story below, but my understanding is that it was Shaw's decision.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough sell. Like, hey, we interviewed you for the job, but we gave it to someone else. You still want to hang around? Like, it probably doesn't feel good.
I feel like we have to just pivot to that immediately because that's huge. That is huge. Not bringing Brad Shaw back.
That's a loss. Like, I get it because it says it's Shaw's decision, right? Like, and I get why he wouldn't want to stick around. But
yeah,
that's such a big loss for the Flyers, especially the defenseman. Whoever Rick Tocchet brings in better be fucking good and be able to continue what Shaw started here. Also, rip Ristolainen, and there's no way they're going to trade him now. He's just going to revert back into a pumpkin.
They have to trade him now. I mean, I don't think anyone would trade for him given the fact that he's not healthy. But Brad Shaw not coming back is. I guess I should have expected him more, but I just thought okay, the Flyers would have talked to him. He would have been okay with it if they're bringing in Tocchet. But this makes me like the hire less. Apparently, Tocchet may bring in Luke Richardson, who was an assistant. He was a head coach of the
Chicago
Blackhawks. Yeah, coaching.
Hey, didn't I say earlier that head coaches sometimes go back to being assistants?
Yeah. Luke Richardson. Where's he been an assistant before? Let me see. Luke Richardson. Assistant coach. After 3 seasons as an assistant coach.
He's young, isn't he? He's like 45, 50.
He's 56.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 56. Luke Richardson is.
Jesus.
Coaching career was an assistant in Ottawa in 2009-2010. Went to the Binghamton Senators as the head coach. Went to and Ottawa Senators fired Duke Cameron, but went to the Islanders, went to the Habs, and then went to the Blackhawks there. So, I don't know enough about these guys here. Apparently, was a defenseman coach there in Montreal, but Brad Shaw was like one of the saving graces of the Flyers bench, and everyone expected him to be one of the next guys, potentially be behind the bench if Tortorella moved upstairs, and him leaving is it's not good. It's definitely not good news.
No. So who's the only assistant coach left now? Kim Dillabaugh?
Kim Dillabaugh, the goalie coach, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Boy. I don't know. That's deflating. I just felt like all the energy drained out of me.
That is at least it happened now. At least we saw it before we hopped off, so our whole podcast wasn't.
Thank you, friend of the pod, Charlie O'Connor, for tweeting that out.
So assistant coaches, Angelo Ricci, Rocky Thompson, Darryl Williams, and Brad Shaw all gone. They've been with the team since Tortorella took over. Someone said Mike Yeo was an assistant coach with Tocchet at some point. I wonder if they would bring him back. I can't imagine.
The Bald Brigade.
Do we think there's a chance that Ian LePerriere comes back up as an assistant coach?
Stop.
Of that?
Stop
the full-on bald brigade.
Shut your mouth. You shut your mouth right now, Ryan Gilbert. You shut your mouth. Oh, no. No, there's no way they do that. Not after the way the Phantoms fizzled out.
Yeah. I wonder if the Flyers have some assistants lined up to announce or hint at on Friday. But yeah, Brad Shaw not coming back. Hopefully he doesn't go to a rival and
what if he becomes the Pittsburgh head coach?
Wouldn't surprise me. Well, not surprise me. Just
It would. It would surprise me. There's no way that Dubas Yeah, I've got
Yeah,
the last years of Crosby and Malkin. Let me give Bradshaw the reins. No,
that's true there.
Boston. I mean, is he from Boston? Torts is from Boston.
Torts is from Boston. Bradshaw is from Cambridge, Canada. I'm not sure where. That's in Ontario. Maybe he goes back up
to the Leafs after
Toronto,
Craig Berube loses his job. No. Who else still has an open job? Pittsburgh, Boston,
Seattle, right?
Seattle. Ooh.
I don't think he's going somewhere as a head coach. I really don't. The thing is, you don't never ever hear people like, oh, here's the people that could be assistant coaches. Like you look at the coach carousel, like who could be head coaches. Because you're not going to see Mike Sullivan or like Laviolette, or maybe they're going to bring in Woodcroft somehow.
I don't know. There's only, we all know this, there's only 35 possible head coaches living at any given moment, but the assistant coaching options are literally endless. I could be the assistant coach of the Flyers, like anyone could do this. No, they can't, but there's a much longer list of names.
Todd Reardon, maybe he was with the Capitals for
Todd
a bit.
Rundgren, the guy I want to bang on my drum all day. That guy? No.
Oh, Todd. He was a assistant that apparently was a scapegoat back in Pittsburgh. Maybe they bring in like a Jeff Halpern for an assistant coach.
So stop it. What are you? You're just saying names now.
I'm reading down this article of potential coaches here on
Daily Face
Off, but yeah, there's no. Well, let's wait and see at this point because Rick Tocchet. We'll see if Tocchet brings in his assistants. See if Briere makes a move. Who knows?
Yeah, I will also say credit to the Flyers for not hiring Joel Quenneville. Literally the lowest bar that you have to not do that, and they didn't. So good job there, and fuck you, Ducks. Fuck the Ducks. Anyway.
Yeah, fuck the Ducks. So Bradshaw not back. Understandable that Shaw doesn't want to come back after being passed over for the head coach job.
Happy trails, man. You really turned around a defense that did not look like it could hang at the NHL level, which maybe this is a stealth tank move. If the defense doesn't have Bradshaw coaching it, maybe they stink again and they end up with a high pick.
I just hope Drysdale can continue his development. Maybe Tocchet will use him more as just an offensive guy. Go play offense. Go be a rover type. Like try to be the Quinn Hughes light of the Flyers. But
he did start trending that way towards like at least the back third of the season. I'd say like there were the flashes. Boy,
I wonder if this
downer.
Yeah, I wonder if this means we could see some changes on the blue line. Like maybe we see them because we talk about them going out, getting a center, getting a goalie, but maybe they go get a veteran defenseman of some sort. Maybe someone. Aaron Ekblad is a free agent. Projected cap for these guys: Ekblad, Gavrikov, Provorov, Orlov, Brent Burns, Dante Fabro could be an interesting name. Ryan Lindgren, Matt Grzelcyk, Cody Ceci, Nate Schmidt. Like, there's no one really exciting.
Nah, they'd have to trade.
Yeah, I'd expect more in a trade. All right, let's get back to the goalies, because if it's not Skinner and it's not Gibson and they don't go somehow get Swayman, I can't imagine they would. Free agent looks like the most likely option. Free agent goalies in games played this season descending. You got Georgiev, no. David Rittich, maybe. Jake Allen, he's towards the top of my list for free agents. Alex Lyon, I would like coming back. Anton Forsberg, Dan Vladar, whatever.
I'm gonna say straight up, I don't want them to sign a goalie in free agency. I would rather them use one of their 4 second-round picks and just trade for a 25, 26, 27-year-old goalie who hasn't cracked it with his own team. Again, 27, 28. That is the age. Joey Decord, Sam Montembeault, Logan Thompson, Karel Vejmelka, Connor Ingram, like all of these guys did not hit their stride until age 27, 28. Flyers should trade for a guy that's right about there, and then you have a good tandem of Ersson and Dude until Zvragin and Bjarnason are ready to play. And boy, if we're talking 27, Bjarnason and Zaragan are both still 19. They're like 8 years away from being.
So that's going to be 2033, which is just a fake year.
Not a real year. It doesn't exist.
No.
Unless one of them turns out to be a true starter who usually, by age 22, 23. Maybe you get one of them in 2029. But Zaragan, if he follows the Shesterkin and Sorokin path, they didn't come over till they were 24, 25. So you're looking at 2030 for him. Not to put a damper on everyone who's like, whoa, we got these really promising goaltending prospects. Like, they are not just not NHL ready, they are a ways away. And the Flyers, they need someone. We say a stopgap center, we mean like a 2-year solution.
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about goalie, we need like a 4 or 5 year solution, which sucks. But hey, that's the development curve for goalies these days. It takes a long time to get ready to, unless you're elite. Connor Hellebuck played like 67 games as a 23-year-old, but not everybody can do that.
No. Yeah, and I feel like goalie is like, just take it a year or two at a time. Like, all right, let's try to get someone for, unless you have a top goalie, it's just like, all right, let's see what we can do for these 2 years. Let's get a free agent. Let's trade for somebody that might be a turnaround guy. I don't know what his relationship is with Rick Tocchet, but Thatcher Demko only 1 more year on his deal at $5 million.
But can he play?
Well, that's the thing. He's probably better in a tandem where he's not the guy. And maybe
I don't even mean is he the guy or not. I mean, is he physically capable to play? Yeah. Although with Kevin Lankinen signed long term now, it kind of does make sense to be like, time to get. Oh, I just looked at Demko's age when he had that killer season 2 years ago. Guess what age he was?
27.
He was 27.
Yeah.
It just, I swear to God, you guys, 27, 28. That's when goalies. They find it. They hit it.
Yeah. Anyway. So going back to the main point, signing Tocchet, hiring Tocchet signals a more aggressive offseason. Doesn't mean going out being reckless. Doesn't mean going out throwing money at whoever, but using the smart money to get the guys that you think fit those holes, and not hoping that you can have internal improvements.
Also, What moves did they make last offseason?
Nothing. They made no moves last offseason.
So being more aggressive than last offseason is like, hey, we signed a guy.
Yeah.
That's a more aggressive move than last year. We did, like, I guess the big move last season was they got Fedotov early.
Well, they got Michkov over.
And they got Michkov over early. Yeah. But that, they didn't have an aggressive offseason even in like the kindest of terms. So as long as they sign a guy or make a trade, they've had a more aggressive offseason than they did last year. It's not.
Yeah.
They'll say it's aggressive, but it's a retool. It's an aggressive retool. But anyway, everyone needs to calm down a little bit. It's going to be fine. It doesn't mean that they're going to just trade everyone for Sam Bennett or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, Tocchet's in, Shaw's out. We'll see what else happens on Friday. We'll definitely be doing some sort of live thing Friday, reacting to the press conference. Probably 4 or 5-ish, maybe a happy hour type stream. I'm not sure who all is going to be on there. But, this gave us another week to look at some draft stuff. We didn't do a full draft episode.
Oh, baby.
Do you have any updated takes on your draft?
I actually do, because I was thinking about the 2022 draft last night, because the Flyers finished with the 4th worst record in 2022, and they fell to 5 because New Jersey jumped up to number 2, and they drafted Gauthier. And I was thinking about it. Imagine New Jersey had not won that lottery, and it just went chalk order. Montreal 1, Arizona 2, Seattle 3, Flyers 4. Would they? I think they still would have taken Gauthier. Because unless Arizona or Seattle was in love with Simone Nemec, I don't think the Flyers would have taken Nemec. We already know they passed on Jiricek because they took Gauthier over him. and it would have been Slafkovsky, Cooley, Shane Wright, and then the Flyers have their pick between Nemec, Jiricek, and Gauthier. We already know they didn't want Jiricek, right? Like I said. And then I don't think they would have been in love with Nemec. They probably would have just taken Gauthier anyway. Them falling from 4 to 6, I know that some fast risers right now are Jake O'Brien and Brady Martin. It could work out that one of those two guys or someone else that isn't even on our radar, like Beckett Seneca last year went like 15 spots higher than was projected. Yeah, you want to talk about making a reach. It wasn't Jet Luchenko, it was Beckett Seneca.
Yeah.
He looks good, though. It could end up that the Flyers get their choice between two of Higgins, Frondell, and Desnoyers. They get their pick of two of them. And even if they had not dropped, they'll still end up taking the same guy they would have taken at 6. They'll still take at 6 the guy they would have taken at 4. You know what I mean? Like, depending on who gets...
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense because it's not going to go 1 to 6. It rarely goes chalk 1 to 6, 1 to 5, even 1 to 3. Even there's guys that jump up, but
one player will jump up. I am sure that one will. My money's on one of Jake O'Brien, Roger McQueen, or Brady Martin. One of those three will probably be the one to jump up above the Flyers. Maybe two of them. I doubt that, but they might end up drafting the guy at 6 that they would have drafted at 4.
That could very well be the case, and I've kind of come to accept the fact that Caleb Desnoyers is probably going to be the guy they go after. They're familiar with him, put up big points in the queue. They have his brother. It's a familiar thing, which Tocchet was a familiar hire.
Tocchet's the boring hire. Desnoyers is the boring
pick.
But he's so good. I like him a lot. I get that people are like, he doesn't do anything really crazy great. I'm like, he could contend for maybe not be like a Selke finalist, but he could probably be getting some votes to be in the Selke conversation in his career. And boy, if you're not going to have a generational superstar as your 1C, like a McDavid or a McKinnon, having like a Barkov I know he's not quite Barkov, but like a Hischier-esque player, that's pretty good, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah, having like a peak Couturier before he got hurt, like if he was given, like that. It's not exciting, it's not flashy, but it's something you need. It's something like you have Luchenko. These can be your second, third line centers for the next decade.
Well, I'm a little higher on Desnoyers. I think if he hits the ceiling, he's a 1C. But sometimes you need a facilitator. All we have are shoot first, like wingers who are better at goal scoring than they are at playmaking. Give me.
I think Konechny and Michkov are better at playmaking, which is their top two wingers.
Top two wingers. Konechny is I've said it before and I've written about it extensively. Konechny is a much better setup guy than he's given credit.
Yeah,
I think at heart, Michkov is like a goal scorer. He could do the assists. He can find beautiful plays and all that jazz. But I think he really needs someone that can get him the puck in a dangerous spot so he can put it in the net. Because that's what he did when he was not with St. Petersburg, Sochi. He just had to do it all himself because that team stunk. He had nobody to help him. So, if they get a really good playmaking center, even if he's not a big goal scorer, that's fine. Like they need a playmaker. They need a Claude Giroux. But
yes,
it's funny how time works like that. Oh, get Giroux, a guy who can shoot the puck. Here's Michael Raffle, and now it's like, oh, get someone who can set up Matvei Michkov, and it's gonna be, I don't know, Anton Frondell, who is just a goal scoring guy. But anyway.
One thing I brought up last week on Flyperbole with Steve is like people are talking about, all right, we need a center to play with Michkov. We need a center that meshes well with Michkov. Like that, sure, that would be ideal, getting a top line center that can play with Michkov for the next 10 years. But this could be a 2C. Michkov could be on a different line. Like you don't have to, it's not like basketball where you have these 5 guys on the court for the majority of the game. You have 2 top lines you can attack with. You need depth. So it's getting that best player available. Like it's not getting the player that fits your system. It's getting the best player. And I would be all for Martone. He seems like a great guy. McQueen, I still think is worth as a big swing. I'm hoping he falls and the Flyers can trade up to
Yes.
get him. The news with the Oilers advancing, though, is that their pick will be 29th at best going to the conference
Okay.
final there, which whatever. Like they'll probably trade it back again or use it as a trade chip to move up.
I think it moves the Avs pick up like to a higher number too.
It might. I know Thomas wrote something on
Yeah.
BrushHockey.com today.
It's complicated. I think if all of the front runners make the conference finals, so Carolina, Dallas, and who's left?
Florida, Toronto. I think they're both better than
if Florida makes the conference final as well. If all three of those teams make the conference final, I think it bumps the Avs pick as high as 22. But I'm not positive.
One mid-20s, one late 20s, high 30s. Like still, around that time, it's about the scouts having their guys, teams having their guys.
Yeah. And consider again, if this ends up being pick 30, the Edmonton pick is like pick 30 or whatever, 29. The Flyers pick again at 36.
Yeah. They're going to have a bunch of picks right in a row there. The early second day blogging on Brush Hockey is going to be quick fire there. Quick fire. I mean, hopefully they trade some of those picks for our sake.
For a goalie.
For a goalie. Yeah, Stuart Skinner. But yeah, I mean, Desnoyers seems like the obvious guy right now. I'd love Hagens to fall somehow. Frondell, cool. I like him. He seems to be high skill.
I will say, and I know this is like, I'm not like an old hockey man, but when I think of Hagens and how he plays, I also consider like Jack Hughes. I know he's not on that level, but Jack Hughes is not great in the playoffs. He's injured a lot. And I'm like, is James Hagens as your 1C, is that going to be good enough to win in a playoff situation? Like, I know maybe it is. Maybe he's just that good and it's fine. But I'm also like, is that enough? I don't know.
Yeah. There haven't been
I would love him, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I would like all these guys would be good to get. It's like we're very much nitpicking between these guys now. Like yes. I know we're gonna have plenty of like shift by shifts and whatnot looking at these guys, but yeah, it's probably gonna be one of these centers. Maybe Martone falls. Maybe I'm seeing here Jake O'Brien going 7 on this Tankathon mock drafts with Desnoyers 6. Like these guys are moving up. So
yeah. The combine might change some opinions. Like the scouts will be like, oh, this guy's bigger than we thought. This guy's stronger. This guy's got an attitude problem. This guy, who knows, like there's things in flux still. And I'd be happy with any of Frondell, Hagens, or Desnoyers. Of course, we said last year, all they have to do is make the pick in the tier and they didn't. So please do this for us, Flyers. Be boring. But not that boring.
I'm also still hoping that they can trade the pick. Either trade up if Misa doesn't go 1, if Hagens goes 1 and Schaefer goes 2, and you can trade up and get Misa at 3 or even at 2. Like I would not hate that. But I keep hearing that the Blackhawks are going to get a center because Connor Bedard's probably a winger.
I mean, he's probably a winger because everyone in that team is shit, and it doesn't really help. No, I still believe in the dream that the San Jose Sharks want to unite the Eklund brothers in San Jose, and they can't draft Victor at 2, but they would draft him at 6.
Yeah, I wonder if that would be where you see in the NFL where the teams draft their players, because like you can't guarantee Eklund's going to be there at 6. So like maybe they're like, all right, we'll take Misa. If Eklund's there at 6, we'll trade you Misa for your pick and other things.
Well, has that ever happened in the NHL?
In the NHL, I'm not sure, but like
it's crazy.
I guess Eklund is probably going to be there at 6, so it wouldn't be a huge risk for them. But yeah, I could see anything happening at the top of this year's draft. We hear it every year, like, oh, there's going to be trades this year. There's going to be trades this year, and then there never are. So
no, consider it this way: if Eklund isn't there, guess what that means? Someone took him. And that means you get one of like Frondell, Hagens, Desnoyers, maybe Martone is like there for you. And you're like, well, we can't unite the brothers. That sucks. But we got a player in a higher tier. So it works out.
Yeah. So Still got a month plus before the draft. I believe it's on
draft party. By the way, we don't have a location, but we are having one. We will have more details.
I think
soon.
It might be Chickies again.
Oh, again?
But
Okay,
I don't know if that's 100% confirmed. Somewhere in South Philly, somewhere in the stadium complex. Yeah, make sure you guys all mark your calendars for that to join us there. Yeah. Make sure you guys also subscribe to the Briere Hockey Podcast here on YouTube, on Apple, on Spotify. Leave us 5-star ratings and reviews there. We appreciate all of that good stuff. Of course, read the website. Follow on all socials there. Joe, anything else here before we close this thing
out? Rip Bradshaw. Not actually, but like, it was fun while it lasted.
It was. We had a day and a half of being like, all right, maybe Shaw would stay on with Tocchet, but no. So we'll see what assistants are brought in.
Yeah. How about you? Any closing thoughts?
No, it's good to I'm very apathetic about the coaching hire, which is fine because a lot of people were apathetic about the team for a long time. So it's whatever. I don't think the coach really matters all that much. It's just a matter of right now what Briere does the rest of the offseason, which has always been the big thing. I've seen people be like, oh, hot take. It doesn't matter who the coach is because Briere is the most important person. No shit. The general manager is the most important person for building a hockey team. The coach shouldn't matter that much. So that's my take there. All right, Joe, where can people find you on the socials?
You can find me at jfdemarini.bsky.social. Thank you very much. How about you, Gilds?
All right, you can follow me on Blue Sky at RyanGilbert.bsky.social, and I'm unfortunately still on Twitter at rgilbertsop. All right, that's gonna do it here for us. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Go Flyers.